Good morning. I'm Coach Brian with Cause Events, and welcome to Coach's Corner. So for today, we're going to learn how to change a bicycle tire. Now, I'm not going to go through the steps of taking it off the bike. I'm not going to go through some of the other things. I'm just going to how to take the tire off, replace the tube, and fill it back up. It's simple. It's quite easy. It's the same for the front or the back. We'll do another video on how to get the bike wheel off the bike. But for now, we're just going to do the tire. All right, let's get going. This is an old tire. It's a fairly old. It's an old rim. I got in an accident with this rim, so it's shot. So I use it to train people with. So it's great for that. Now a new tire is going to have a very tight bead. This little area in here is the bead. Let's give you a better look. Before we get started with actually fixing this tire, let's go over some parts you're going to need. So we've got some tire levers. They come in a variety of shapes and sizes and forms. What you typically do see is you see a hook on one end and a pry lever on the other end. This one's a little different. And now my dogs are howling. We live near a fire station, so the sirens started. Excuse me for a moment. Okay, that's taken care of. We've got the tire levers. Now, a CO2 filler is what I typically use when I'm out cycling. You can get a little battery-powered filler. I don't happen to have one. The one thing about these is you may get one or two fills out of a cartridge, but it's not gonna. If you have some left over, it's eventually going to seep out of there typically, and it's going to get very cold. The one I keep on the bike has a foam sleeve over the cylinder here. Another thing would be good to carry with you is a spare tube. Now, because most of what I do is talking about triathlons, speed is of the essence, and so it's easier to fill it, to put a new tube in rather than patch it. However, you may get more than one. You may get more than one hole, and so having a patch kit is handy. Now, this is a patch kit called Scabs. It's got instructions. It's got a few peel and stick patches in it. You can see the little peel and stick patch here. Has a little cheese grater to clean up the tube a little bit. I actually prefer putting a little piece of sandpaper in there. I think it does a better job. What you don't want to do is touch the back of the patch or the spot where you're going to put the patch over. Now, most modern bicycles, that's most of the tools you'll need. Since most modern road bikes have skewers, you're not going to need wrenches to take off the wheel. Some mountain bikes you may need to still, but we're not going into the bike part of it. But just know that that because most road bikes have skewers, if yours doesn't, you will have to pack the appropriate wrenches you're going to need. Now let's get started with the tire. So, I've got my tire levers here, and this is going to be easy because this is a well-worn tire. I'm going to put one tire lever in here, and I'll hook it on the spoke. And I'll get another tire lever in here, and I'll bring it around. You want to be careful you don't grab the tube when you're doing this. And then you start pulling. And once you get around about a quarter of the way, you can take the tire lever out and just go around with your hand. Do be careful because there could be wires in the bead that can cut you. So you may want to just take the tire lever and go the full length around. Okay, once the tire is off on this side, it becomes a whole lot easier. Now the tire lever fell off because the bead came off. So what you can do is take a tire lever and just push it off of the whole tire and bring the tire around, taking the screw off. That little buddy there, that little nut there, you gotta take that off. And then you can pull that out. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to feel around here, make sure there's nothing in here that actually caused the tube to get a leak. And you go around the full circumference. Don't press hard, just find it very carefully. And there is nothing there. And the reason you're doing that is you're looking for anything that's going to pop the next tire. Okay, so I'm going to take the tube out. I'm going to make a little mark on the tire with the little scraper here so I'll know where I started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically feel around the inside of the tube very carefully with my fingers to find what may have popped the tube. Now you may find nothing, but you may find something. Be careful, because if it can pop a tube, it can cut your fingers. You just follow it around, being very careful. And you're also looking down to see if there's anything that could be, any little offense that could be on the top here. Okay, I'm back around to the beginning. I found nothing. I knew there was nothing in here. So, the options are patch it or replace it. The option is, do I patch it or replace it? Now, I will opt always to replace the tube if I have a spare tube with me, because it's faster. Tubes aren't that expensive. They can be if you buy expensive ones, but you know, it's like you get what you pay for. But this tube has been patched before. You can see that patch there, which is probably where it's leaking from. If you'll notice that this patch is kind of buckled, which is probably why it's leaking. When you put a patch on, you want to have a little bit of air in the tube. Now, there's a second patch too, but I digress. You want to have some air in the tube. When you get a new tube, it's going to be flat. You're going to be storing it in your top tube or your behind the seat carrier, or you're going to have one in your back pocket of your jersey. So you can use that, but because I don't need to do that right now, I'm not going to ride on this tire, but it's gotten pretty flat. So what I want to do is, before I get ready to reinstall that, I've got to put the tire back on the wheel. So I'm going to start by getting it on one side. I want to bring one side on first. Now, you want to be careful, and you can actually pull it back off. So I started closest to me, and I've got the tube 3/4 of the way on just by pushing it on with my thumbs. Now, it was, like I said, the bead's loose. It popped right on. It's not going to do that with a newer tire. Okay, be advised. You're probably going to have to grab one of your tire levers and pry the last little bit on. So now that I have this on, what I'm going to do is, I do this with brand new tubes. I do this with deflated tubes. I blow a little air into it. That makes the tube round. That means it's going to set in the groove of the wheel perfectly. And I just need to find the valve hole. There it is. The valve hole is right there. Now, when you get tubes, make sure you have tubes that are long enough for the profile wheels you have. So this is a 10 millimeter profile, and this is a very long valve. It'll go through that. But if I had 50 millimeter profile wheels, I'd either need an extender or I would need to get a longer valve. So Now, as I'm pushing this tube back in here, let me bring this down here so it's a little easier to see. As I'm bringing this tube back in here, I'm careful not to pull it, because if I pull it, it's going to come out over here. And I don't want it to come out. I want it to set nicely in the groove of the tire. Partially, if I put a flat tube in there without any air, there's a good chance I'm going to get a pinch flat. And I'm just working this thing all the way around. I don't want to pull it too hard on this side either. Okay, the tube is set in there now. So now I just have to get the tube back on the wheel. And you start by hand. I'm working it around. And I could pop this one by hand. I'm almost done. I'm 3/4 of the way around. I'm 3/4 of the way around with it. But in that last little bit, it can get a little dicey. So always have your tire lever handy so you can put in there, grab the edge of the wheel, and pop that guy on. And look at that, it came out over here. So I'm holding that side of the bead, and it came out over here. So I'm going to hold this one in place here, and I'm going to bring this tire level around, and voila. Okay, now I'm going to check the bead, make sure it's set in there, make sure everything's feeling right. Okay, it's pretty good. Now before I pump this up, I'm going to put the nut back on the valve, because you can see if you go to put a pump on there, it's going to push the valve all the way up there. You don't want to do that, so that's what this little guy's for. So pull it way down, and it's on like that. Okay, now it's time to pump it up. I'm not going to use the CO2 filler because I don't want to waste the money on that when I'm just doing this. And it seems to be I'm having to repeat this video a few times. So I'll just use my regular pump. Now this tire, on the side of the tire, it says the rating is between 80 and 120 psi. I am going nowhere near 120 psi, and I recommend that you only go, I would say, to 90. If you're just doing road riding, I would say just go to 90. If you're on a track, you could go to 110, but that's on a track. So let's see us go up, up, up. There we go. We're at 90. 90 psi. So now, and there you have it. It's nice and firm. It's not going to bounce on carpet very well. Okay, so you get the point. It's full. It's fixed. Now, this with 2 patches on it, I would never, probably, except in an extreme emergency, try to reuse this tube again. I know this tube is compromised. I tried shooting this movie 20 minutes ago, and it was almost deflated by the time I got back. So finding a hole, oftentimes when you're out in the field, is nearly impossible, which is why I recommend you always carry spare tubes. You can find them. It's very tricky to find a very small leak in a tire when you're out in the field. I usually find them. I submerge my tube. I pump it way up, submerge it in water, and That's usually a good way to find it. Put a mark on it with a grease pencil, and we're good to go. So that's all there is to it. Now, if you have questions for me about this, go ahead and comment. Send me a comment. I'd like to hear from you. Like this video, subscribe. It's going to help the algorithm. It's going to help me grow. I want to grow. I want to get this stuff out to everybody who really needs it, because I do this because I have a passion for the sport. I have a passion for my athlete. And hype this if you want. And if you're in the San Diego area, go to meetup.com, San Diego Tri Series, if you want to come and do some workouts with us. We have me with the San Diego Tri Club, and even me on my own with Cause Events. Have several events throughout the week and throughout the year, so there's always things to accommodate you by. If you plan on doing any of the Cause Events races in the near future, or even next year, because some of them are already scheduled for next year. Here in San Diego, best place in the world to do a triathlon. This is home of the modern day triathlon. Use the code Coach Brian, COACHBRIAN, that's all caps, for 10% discount. And I'll see you here next time.